Hey everyone, we're here today, our Friday review show. Thanks so much for joining me here today. Excited to go through the always eclectic Friday review on the Cabral concept. This week will absolutely be no different. We're gonna go over latest recaps from the past week, what's going on inside of the virtual functional medicine integrative health practice, podcast recap, see if you missed anything, go over a brand new product review. If you've never seen one of these, if you're watching on video, I'll share with you a little bit more. I'm trying to give you some insights as to what we're doing inside of the high performance health course and certification as well. So you kind of learn some of that background. Going over a new book, a mental health-based book, and I always call them performance-based books because if you don't love the term mental health, I just think that we all need to be doing a little bit more work on ourselves in order to improve, unless you're already perfect. And if you're perfect, great, you're all set. You can tune out for that part of the show. But it's called DBT, and we're going to be going through that if you've never heard about it before. And then I've got a couple of research, latest research that I think are really important. And absolutely, maybe for you, you've heard about them, right? But I think it's important that you pass along this research to family members and to loved ones as well. That's a big part of the Cabral concept philosophy is first you learn for yourself and then you pass that on to others. And that's what we do inside of the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute is you learn for yourself, become a health coach if you choose to, but then no matter what, whether you use that in your career or not, you're teaching it to others. You're teaching your family, your friends, your siblings, your community, your coworkers, your church, like all of those things. It's important because even if you just share with one person and their life has changed, it's never just one person. I've shared that before. Think about it. You change the lives of their family, their relationships. If you go from no energy in life, brain fog, low mood, low energy. Lots of people like that in life, right? And all of a sudden, you don't have any more brain fog. You have tons of energy. And it lifts your mood, you're a different person. You don't think that that's going to affect everybody else in your life? Of course it will, like without a doubt. So again, share the information wherever you feel is pertinent. All right, let's get started though, because I could go off on that topic and talk about it all day. So for me, it has been a wild May. I don't know about you. It's crazy. It's like, yeah, the weeks keep passing and the year keeps flying by. That's always like my thought process as we're kind of moving through the seasons. And I saw that because I was just on a trip in Scottsdale, Arizona. That was work-based, had some phenomenal meetings. I was in a place called Paradise Valley. It literally is paradise. Like, so I can see why they called it that. I stood at the foothills, we'll say, of Camelback Mountain. Incredible mountain for hiking, beautiful to take in. And one of the most amazing things about Phoenix, the Phoenix area, is that you get these cool, crisp mornings and late evenings, even more so in the morning. And then you've got the hot, the heat during the day, that dry heat, that sauna heat. It's fantastic weather. It really is. I've always grown up near the ocean, so I'm definitely, people ask me like, hey, would you ever move to the mountains? I love the mountains. I would visit the mountains. Some people feel drawn to the mountains, and I do too, to visit. But I'm always a Boston and Maine and East Coast kind of guy. That's the way that I grew up, and kind of that's a part of my soul, my being. But I love visiting out there. Then after that, quick trip right back to Boston, to see family, and that was amazing too because you get the seasons. You get 4 real seasons in Boston, even though the winter season is 6 months. It was nice to see and get to feel that change in spring. And I know, in just another 3 weeks or so, I'll be in Maine. I'll be there for the summer. I'll be able to soak in that great weather and just a different pace. Even though I'm still working, I'm still doing all that. My daughters are off from school. There's just a different feel to it. We're seeing family every single weekend, and it's great. It really is. And so wherever you are, kind of like wherever your season is, I invite you just to step back at moments in your life and to just enjoy, because they go by so fast. Maybe they don't for you, they do for me. Again, I had to, like I always say, I had to grow up real quick when I was 17. And so I became an old man right around 17, 18 years old, but I appreciate it. And that allows me for this deep appreciation of just, wow, I get to spend another, even if it's only 8 weeks or 10 weeks in Maine in the summer. I love that. And so anyway, excited for that. Excited for my daughters to be finishing up school. We're going to take a quick family trip, actually out west, back to the mountains. They've never seen it. They've never been to the Utah, Colorado, we'll call it Wyoming National Park space area. And so this is a quick impromptu trip, not a big national parks trip, but I want them to experience that. And so we're going out there, and that'll kind of be a little education after the formal education changes. And I'll get to that another day, but I've had a lot of talks with colleagues about schooling and higher education and whether my daughters are going to do that or not. Well, that'll be left up to them. But I think that there's so much education that needs to happen in the real world, and not necessarily just, through sitting in front of a teacher teaching to you. But we'll save that, like I said, for another day. All right, going on over at EquiLife this week, just make sure that you have headed over there, because right now there is free shipping all weekend long, if you're not already aware, for Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. And what I want you to do is take advantage of that. Save on all orders for free shipping, and every order over $99, actually, we send along our 4-in-1 shaker bottle. It stores your nutritional supplements. It stores extra protein powder or collagen powder, the advanced collagen powder, daily fruit and vegetable blend powder, and it actually has 4 separate compartments. So it's pretty incredible. And it will enable you to also do your summer detox coming up. You can put 3 different compartments for your shakes and then 1 for your vitamins. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a $19.99 retail value. So yours completely free on all qualifying orders. Head on over to stephencabral.com/shop. All right, podcast recap for the week. Hopefully you didn't miss any of these shows. Big one on Motivation Monday. What not to tie your self-worth to. Really, really important. And so I went over that, and I hope that was beneficial for people. I really enjoyed talking about it because the week before, we went over a show of being careful, right? Being careful that you don't let yourself fall into a funk in life where you start to get bored. And so the 2 shows really tied together. I do hope you'll tune in. That was episode 2663 of What Not to Tie Your Self-Worth to. For better or for worse. No highs, no lows. And I really talked about that on the show. Tuesday's show was making intermittent fasting easier. If you're not already using some form of intermittent fasting, 99 out of 100 people need to. They really do. They're going to get benefit from it. So I made it easier. Check out that show. Meaning you don't need to do 16 hours. I gave you a way that you're able to improve. Wednesday's show was, do you need to be taking postbiotics? You've probably heard of, I have to get my head straight out. You probably heard of probiotics, but then they came out with prebiotics. Prebiotics have already been around. I explained that on the show. And now there's postbiotics. Do you need to be taking all of these? And I go through exactly what you need, what you don't need, and what's easier to get and better to get through food. And then yesterday's show was reversing blindness and improving eyesight. This 5 years ago, well, we'll say a little bit more than that, 10 years ago, would have been complete science fiction. But now we are able to reverse blindness. It's unbelievable, right? How far we are coming with all of these medical breakthroughs. Check out that show. I think you'll be blown away. All right, that was our podcast recaps. Again, all podcasts are at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And this week starts with 2663. All right, today's show, though, is episode 2667. Head on over to stephencabral.com/2667 now for all the different links that I'm about to go through. All right, the first product review I'm going to do is called a Dynamometer. Dynamometer, this is actually measuring grip strength. Why would you care about grip strength? Here's why. There is a direct correlation between grip strength and all-cause mortality and longevity. Meaning the stronger your grip, the less likely it is that you're going to die within the next year. So it's a pretty good measure. The problem is that people use this and say correlation equals direct causation. And while there's some truth to this, because the more you can squeeze this, the stronger you are, the better your neurological function. So that is absolutely true, which means then you're most likely not going to do the slip and falls, breaking your hip, or the weakness, the osteoporosis, the sarcopenia. No doubt about that. However, people that score better on a dynamometer, grip strength test, typically also are doing things like keeping their body active and exercising, right? So it's like, it's not just grip strength, it's actual strength to the body. But this is a good measure nonetheless. And this is also very inexpensive. One thing I like to do for you on these Friday reviews is find you products that have meaning, right? That you can have this for 10 years, right? Like this is a one-time purchase. So again, this is something we use inside of High Performance Health. It's part of our 10 mortality tests that we do. And I actually call them the 10 vitality tests to make sure that you're going to live a long, healthy life. These things you test and they show way in advance of how your body's aging. Anyway, but I always give you the best for the least expensive option. If I put that another way, it's the least amount of money you need to invest in a great quality tool for your health. So this one is like somewhere around $36 or so. I'll link it up, the exact one that I have. You can get a medical one that simply has a needle that moves rather than digital. I think digital is even easier, to be honest with you. So here's what you want to do though. You literally just press the on button. If you're watching this on video, you can see that right there. Okay, it's on right now. You can do it by age if you want, totally fine. I'm just gonna give you a general score, but you can also do it by age, all right? And then you're just gonna press start, and all you wanna do is squeeze, and then you're gonna see what you come out to. And I always squeeze about the same. So it's in kilograms, and I usually squeeze between 55 and 60 kilograms. That's just my normal squeeze. Some days a little stronger, some days a little weaker, and you wanna hold it at a right angle with your elbow against your side, because you could be like struggling to squeeze this thing. And what that does is it just gives you your number. So all you have to do for kilograms, you just multiply by 2.2. That's it. So if you want to set this in pounds, you can set it in pounds as well. But you can just multiply your number by 2.2. Okay, and you don't have to do this all the time. So in HPH, we do monthly and we do quarterly testing. And so anyway, we talk about that. If you want to learn more about that, it's highperformancehealth.org. It's how to live to 100 plus, meaning plus, more than 100 in great shape, great brain cognition, living a life of purpose, passion, energy, vitality. That's what it's all about. So anyway, but you need to get there, right? You need to be healthy in order to be able to enjoy all of these things in life and get an extra 25 years out of life, because average life expectancy is between 74 and 77, depending if you're a male or female. Anyway, for men, we want them to be able to squeeze above 100 ideally, all right? Above 100 pounds. 90 is great, 90 above is great, but we want you above 100 and we can train for that, okay? For women, we want it above 60 pounds. 70 is fantastic, but above 60 is great as well. So that's what we aim for. And just wanted to share that with you. Again, simple device, inexpensive, Dynamometer. I'm gonna link it up right now for you at stephencabral.com/2667. Okay. I want to go over a book review this week. This one is fairly new to me. This is called Dialectical Behavior Therapy, all right, DBT. This is a workbook. So this one's a little bit more approachable. I really like it. I definitely recommend maybe diving into a book if you want first, but if you want to go through the exercises, a lot of these books like CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, have workbooks as well. Neurolinguistic programming, they have workbooks. Internal family systems, I always forget if it's internal family therapy systems. I think it's internal family systems for therapy as well. They all have great workbooks. Now, DBT actually came out of cognitive behavioral therapy, and I've talked about that many times. Cognitive behavioral therapy is something I actually teach in IHP Mastery. It is the initial steps to rewiring behaviors that are causing you hardships in your life. We all do things in our life that get us an outcome that we don't want, yet we continue to do them, right? So cognitive behavioral therapy is changing the way that we act through our beliefs and our actual behaviors, right? Well, let me give you dialectical, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, dialectical behavior therapy. The interesting thing is I read so much. So, I read multiple books per week, but I don't do a lot of auditory-based training. So I could spend a whole podcast on that. A lot of people, such as my wife, learn amazingly well through auditory, through listening to seminars, books, etc., MP3s, etc., right? But for me, it's exactly the opposite. I could listen to a song 1,000 times, and I don't know any of the lyrics. And my wife laughs at me all the time, because she's like, you've heard the song at least at least 100 times. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't know any of the words. You show me that on a piece of paper, once the lyrics, and I've got it memorized. People's brains just work in different ways. So having said that, and you'll hear me talk about this on the weekend podcast all the time, don't go by my pronunciation. All right, we'll put it that way. Go by what I'm sharing with you, not pronunciation, because I read and I do not listen, but we'll put it that way. All right, so let me just go through a quick paragraph, see if this looks like or sounds like a fit for you. This treatment, so DBT, focuses on fighting against negative thoughts and rewarding good ones, which gives you more control over your emotions. You can feel you have more power over your life by learning how you can handle difficult situations when they arise in everyday life, like setting boundaries. With DBT, there's no need to feel like a victim anymore because this approach aims at empowering you to not give up on yourself, but instead take control. Then it goes into key takeaways for DBT. It was derived from cognitive behavioral therapy and can help you develop skills in 4 major pillars. Mindfulness, so as I always talk about, becoming self-aware. Emotional regulation, so as you start to feel yourself get full of rage or full of anxiety or worry, right? Can work on that. So you start to get there. You feel it right before you do, though. You're working on this. Then distress tolerance. So how much stress you're able to tolerate before you feel like you're losing control, making bad decisions. And then interpersonal effectiveness. So being able to go within, listen to your thoughts, see where they're coming from, and then be able to change. So this technique is for people who want to change their negative thinking and behavioral patterns. It's an effective treatment for a variety of mental health disorders. The technique can help by teaching better coping mechanisms, controlling impulsive behaviors, improving your relationships, increasing self-esteem, and building self-confidence. So I could go on, but honestly, this is a really short book, and it doesn't hurt to learn, right? It does not hurt to learn more things if you feel like this is of interest to you. You can read this within a weekend, and then you can start to work the material if you feel it's right for you. This one is by Maria Clark, and it's called DBT Skills Workbook in 7 weeks, and it will take you. So I always recommend do a read through and then begin to do it week by week. And this is, it could be something that could be game changing for many people. So like I said, this may not be the book for you, but maybe it is for someone if you're an integrative health practitioner in your practice, or maybe it is for a family member. So remember, something's going to stick. If you try enough things with earnest effort, something will stick and it will be the game changer. So that's why I love to be able to bring you these. All right, I'll link that up today as well at 2667. All right, we're gonna go through 2 quick research studies for the week. The first one is on ultra-processed food and harming cognition. Who would have thought that the standard American diet would actually harm the brain, right? Hard to believe. All right, again, hopefully I'm laying on the sarcasm pretty thick. This is by Dr. Claudia Sumoto, and this was published in JAMA Neurology, the journal. It was a 10-year study on over 2,000 adults, and it was, done out of Sao Paulo University in Brazil. And it says getting more than 20% of your calories, so about 400 calories, they stated, from ultra-processed foods. These foods are processed, meaning like they come in a box, they come in a bag, they're full of salt, sugar, and fat. Okay, they're linked to a 28% faster cognitive decline. The effect was especially strong among middle-aged adults and may be linked to cardiovascular damage as well. Hard to believe that dementia, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease would come from ultra-processed food, and that it would take conventional medicine 10 years to publish this. But we in the natural health field understand this, we know this, but a lot of people don't. And so I never want to take it for granted that just because we know something doesn't mean other people may not. Because we might be, I'm 25, how many years? Like 28 years into my health journey. I didn't know this 28 years ago, right? So everyone is at a different stage in their health journey. So what I want to do is be able to share with them these types of articles. Listen, if you're worried about Alzheimer's, dementia, cardiovascular disease, all right, those are 2 of the top 5 leading causes of death. Why don't we begin to look at nutrition first, right? And so basically they're saying we recommend more of these whole foods than ultra-processed. Great, it's good advice. We want that, okay. And the second one is pollution, exposure may be linked to Parkinson's disease, right? So now we're looking at dopamine, neurological, neurotransmitters. This was done by Brittany Krzyzanowski, and it was done out of the Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix, and it was presented at the American Academy of Neurology and their annual meeting. Okay, here's what it says. People living in areas with the highest concentrations of fine particulate matter had 25% greater risk for Parkinson's than those living where concentrations were lowest. Hub spots were found in the Rocky Mountain region, Lake County, Colorado, Mississippi, Ohio River, valleys of Tennessee and Kentucky. To reduce exposure, use an air purifier and avoid outdoor exertion during periods of low air quality. This is pretty remarkable. On my resources page, I've got ear filters there, so you can check that out. My favorite company, stephencabral.com/resources. I have an air quality meter that I've just been touting over the last 6 months. Check that out as well, especially inside the house. But the reason why I wanted to share with you this study is I was in Phoenix. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. I didn't necessarily see a lot of issues with the air, but it's dry air. It's kind of, more challenging to breathe in the first place. But I was told that the air quality is not great there. And it jogged my memory as, oh yeah, LA, Phoenix, these valleys that people talk about. When you are in a valley surrounded by mountains and other things such as that, the air gets trapped. The particulate gets trapped, and then you're breathing that in. For a day, for a weekend, for a month, for a year, maybe, not that bad, right? But when it's years, it begins to compound, and that can lead to serious issues. Why? It begins to fill up your rain barrel, right? If it was the only thing, probably not a big deal. But then you have to look at the heavy metals you're exposed to in your foods, in your water, the pesticides, right? That's what the rain barrel effect is all about. Want to learn more about the rain barrel effect, just go to stephencabral.com. But these are important things to think about. These are not things to joke around about, toxins, etc. Yeah, we can joke around about them, but here's the thing. That's when we get into our 50s and 60s that they cause issues. So let's start to look at them. If you're in your 50s, 60s, we look at that now. I know that there's a lot of people in our community all the way the 70s and 80s listening to the show. You work on them now, right? You continue to empty that rain barrel. But if you're in your 20s and 30s, don't overlook it, right? Don't overlook it. Just begin to work on some of these things now. So hopefully today's show was helpful. Let me know if there's any questions, any follow-ups. Always happy to do additional shows or answer them on the weekends too. All right. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing weekend. I'll be back tomorrow answering our community's questions on the Cabral House Calls. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.